Welcome. My name is Laurens Wapenaar. I am product manager at FinDock, and with me is Stefan van der Knaap, our chief product officer. Together, we will be showing you what we have for you in our July 24 release.
Thank you, Lawrence. Hi, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time and the opportunity to explore what is part of of our July 24 release. Before we dive into the details and the exciting stuff, let's first start with the facts. Please know that everything that you will be seeing today is already available to you in your sandboxes, and it will be released in your production environments on Sunday evening, July the 28th. And you can follow on status.findock.com updates with regards to the release and the planned release windows. This release we want to highlight several items to you, beginning with the Pretty Perfect Permissions beta that we are running. That is really exciting about how to configure permissions as best as possible in FinDock and Salesforce. Secondly, we'd like to show you six new payment methods that we've added to the supported payment method list of FinDock. Thirdly, long time in the works, Lawrence will tell, but also show our redesigned FinDock setup. And last but not least, we want to give an overview of many small wins that potentially could make a big difference for your implementation or customers. But before we do that, I'd like to give you an overview of our current pilots and betas that we are running as FinDock, because there are many of them. And as you can see with this release, we have made big updates to the Pretty Perfect Permissions beta that we are running, to our MPC, ongoing MPC integration and fundraising beta, and we put our intuitive setup in open beta, meaning that everybody is able to use that. And hopefully, based on the feedback and based on our expectations, but you never know, so safe harbor applies, we're able to, with the next release, put both the permissions beta and our MPC integration into the GA slot, and are able to upgrade our Sweden functionality both for Swish and Bankgirot from pilot to open beta. And to give you an overview for one of the important betas that we are running is, as FinDock, we have built an integration with the new nonprofit cloud, especially the fundraising module of the new nonprofit cloud. And with the last release, we have updated the API versions that give you access to also the latest, greatest innovation from the new nonprofit cloud. So all the new fields, all the new functionality that is available as that, you can now also use in the context of FinDock, whether or not that is giving pages, or guided matching, or for example, the fundraising flows that we have made part of our labs for to take payments as part of the entry flows. Both are all available and updated. On top of that, we've got a lot of feedback from many ongoing implementations, so thank you for that. And two things I'd like to highlight is one is we addressed an issue where you're now able to create data from Experience Cloud in FinDock without having the need for a fundraising license, which is a great improvement for our Experience Cloud customers together with the new nonprofit cloud. And secondly, there was good feedback, so thank you for that, around gift aid to work well and 100% as expected with person accounts, which is a core part of the new nonprofit cloud, and that has been addressed as well. Now let's start with the permission beta. As you may remember, permission sets have always been part of, for obvious reasons, of FinDock, but they were role-based, always around either the admin, the agent, or the integration user. But they were very broad, not very flexible, and they were also not compatible with the new free Salesforce integration API-only user. And there was a lot of manual work, and it was hard to configure it easily in the right way. So we have gone from this design to a new design over the last months, where we now have permission or persona-based groups, but the permission sets are on feature level, giving you the ability to make it easy to configure, least privilege by design. It supports the new free Salesforce API-only integration user, and we as FinDock are able to automatically, when you install something new, attach that permission set to the right personas, making it easy not only now, but also in the future to stay with a secure and least privileged design. And in practice, as you can see here, we've grown from the September release last year, and now the May release and the July release this year, to adding our core personas, and we make use of the integration persona, an admin persona, service agent persona, and a payment operations persona. And those personas, they can do multiple activities around our features, right? Like running a payment schedule, running a mandate schedule, having access to our setup, maybe run a payment request generator on, etc. And those permission sets, we group them for you to the right persona. So the only thing that you then have to do is attach the right permission set groups to those users. And then we keep those available to you. Obviously, when you're in special situations and you would like to have a different setup, you don't have to use these permission set groups, and you can use the permission set level directly, but you are able to use the groups by default. For a full overview of the relationship between the personas and the jobs to be done, you can go to our docs, where we have written extensive documentation on how to build this up in a modular way. And together with a change we made to our installer and to our new setup component, where we install new packages for admins only, you can now go all the way, because we install our packages with an admins only scope, the smallest scope available to us by Salesforce. And with these new persona-based permission set groups, together it's both easy, it's easier to implement FinDock according to best practices, and keep as secure as possible by being as least privileged. So yeah, exciting to hear your feedback. We are really, really happy with the unlock this will bring to your projects and to our customers. And if there's feedback, we would like to know more. Secondly, I'd like to highlight some of the new payment methods that we've added to FinDock with the last release. We've added both for our cardless processor package, we've added the support for ACH direct debits, a US-based direct debit payment method, and pre-authorized debits for Canada, which is a new payment method for us in the FinDock perspective. With Stripe, we have added support for BLIC and P24, which are both one-time payment methods. And with Save and Pay It, you're now able to take card payments. And next to keying in the cards, you're also able to use Google Pay or Apple Pay to speed up conversion. And that means that with SaverPay, which is a payment service provider that is very prevalent in the DACH region, especially in Switzerland, we now support one-time and recurring card payments being set up using Apple Pay or Google Pay using as an alternative payment method. It's easy to set up in the SaverPay backend, and then there's no need for your customers anymore to manually type in their card details, making it easier for them to convert. And for the Polish market, we have added both P24 and BLIC as one-time payments. Both are online banking payment methods, very similar to, for example, Ideal in the Netherlands. P24 is a bank transfer payment method with a redirect to your bank. BLIC is a payment method in itself, but it's embedded in the banking app, making it the preferred payment method by 80% of the payers in Poland. And last, but definitely not least, and very exciting, we have now the ability to offer both ACH and pre-authorized debits with Go Cardless. It's both, you can both use it to set up a one-time payment or a recurring payment. And it's used for obvious reasons. ACH is for the US region, and then pre-authorized debits for the Canadian region, which is exciting for us to be able to also offer a relevant payment method in Canada. Now there are a lot of payment methods, and they also are always processed by a payment processor. And we can imagine it's even hard for us sometimes to have an overview. It's harder for you. So if you would visit our fact sheet at findock.com/factsheet or our docs, you're able to find the latest information about all the supported payment methods and payment processors that we support as FinDock out of the box. And with that, I'm happy to hand it over to Lawrence to show you our new redesigned FinDock setup.
Thank you, Stefan. To give a little bit about background for the new setup that we've built, is that we are continuously trying to make FinDock easier to implement, to make sure that our customers can go live and get the benefits of FinDock sooner, but also projects are de-risked and less complicated for our partners. We are doing this in many different ways. We try to do product improvements so that simply you don't have to customize anymore. We are adding a lot of in-app guidance to our setup, but also other features. Then for those places where additional guidance may be required, we have an academy and our docs where we continuously add content. And then we have started last year to provide additional tooling and examples of configuration, customization, for instance, guided matching rule sets that you could implement to make it even easier where customization is necessary. The setup covers several of these parts, so we're adding improvements to our product to automate certain things or improve the features itself, add guidance, but also make sure that it's easier to find the right additional guidance in context. Practically, there's a couple of things that we try to do, a couple of principles that we use. We want you to start doing everything from Salesforce. So after the first core package install that you can configure and install everything from your Salesforce environment, we try to automate as many tasks as possible and make it easier for you to find where to do certain things. But also when you find where to do certain things, to make it easier to actually do them. Some of the tools we use there is trying to unify our user experience and to add guidance, but that's something that is better to show you. So to start, here we have a first version of our new homepage. We will be building on top of this and adding more and more ways for you to get started. But one place where we've added a lot of new things is our payment processor and method overview. One thing you can see here is that you're now able to install new packages from the setup. And if something goes wrong with that installation, we also show that here. So no longer you have to go to the installer for everything or find issues with errors somewhere else. Now here we try to give you as much of an overview of what is there, so what's installed, but also how many targets there are, which payment methods are activated, if payments are activated, and if not, we also show you that. So that you can quickly see what's going on in an environment without having to open every single the page or field to find out. Now, if we go one level deeper, you can see that now we have added all settings pertaining a certain processor to one page. So before, the target configuration and the payment methods were in two different places in our setup. One inside active deactivation, which was a tab, and the other within a tile that was called Stripe. So here we try to, so this is one of those places where we try to put things together so it's easier for you to know what to do. From here, you can configure, for instance, your target. And this we are doing in a way that works exactly the same for all processors. There are, of course, differences in functionality, but at least, for instance, now the native targets and the payment service provided targets have the same place to configure them, but also the same type of UI to configure them. to make it easier to, once you understand how to configure one processor, to configure them all. We do the same thing to, for instance, payment methods. And here you can already see we try to add more and more guidance to our setup. One other place where we try to add more guidance to make it easier for you to do things and not have to remember everything or look them up on our documentation website is the connect page. Here, there's a lot of things that are going on. So for instance, permissions are very important. If you need to do something in the Salesforce setup, we try to hot link you there to make it easier to find. So in this case, we link you directly to the permission set group that Stefan explained. We've added, where you can immediately add the assignment to the right user. Also, if something is not connected or something is wrong, we show you error warnings and tell you how to fix certain things. One other place I'd like to show you is the new overview of all the automation that we have. So one of our most important features is being able to automate recurring payments, both for the payment schedules and the mandate schedules that may be required. And we try to put them all in one place. Now, they were hidden a couple clicks deep within the activate and deactivate tab, but we feel this is something you want to manage in context, in one place, and you would like to should be able to see immediately what has been set up, what has not been set up, what's still manual. So in this case, my SaferPay credit cards are still manual, but my Norway payment schedules are automated. This makes it a lot easier to find out what still needs to be done, or what has already been done. And again, here we try to unify the way these things work. What we're also trying to do is to make things more linear, as we call them, that you're able to do everything either from here, or in the case of, for instance, creating a recurring payment schedule, that you immediately end up on a record creation page instead of having to navigate to the recurring payment schedule tab and then have to select everything yourself. As you can see, for instance, we've already pre-selected some of the values that we know you would want to set here for you to reduce the amount of knowledge you need to have about these types of configuration, but also simply how many clicks you need to do to set it up. What we've also done in this version is added the fundraising sources. In the next release, we will be adding also the installation of sources to the setup, but also the other sources that we maintain as FinDock. One important thing is that you saw me already navigate through this setup through the left-hand menu, is that we've invested a lot of time and effort in the navigation. So we've added the menu, which should give you an overview of what needs to be done. But we've also made it possible to deep link certain settings. So you can, for instance, use bookmarks, but also if you would like another admin or consultant, or maybe our support to look at something, you can use URLs like this to directly go there, which was not possible in our old setup. Next to that, like I explained, we're adding lots of helpful additional links to our documentation website, but also all the resources that we have that are useful when you are using and responsible for a FinDock installation. There's lots more to come here, but hopefully I've given you some impression of how we are thinking about this and what we are improving upon. We are not done yet. So last year in September, we started our first pilot to be able to gather feedback. So we've done a lot of usability tests and interviews with consultants and admins to find out what needs to be improved. And with this release, we are shipping the first beta version with the improved scope. One of the important things to mention is that not all processors have been added yet and are fully configurable from this new setup, but that is something that we are going to be adding in the next release, where we are also aiming for feature parity for advanced settings, like being able to set the batch size for the processing hub. That also includes installation and configuration for sources, but we are definitely looking for feedback on how further to improve our setup. We have made a detailed list of what's available in the new setup on our doc site. Here you can find what's possible, which processes are configurable, yes or no, to make sure that it's easy for you to see for which projects this could be relevant. Now, to take this to general availability, we would really like your feedback. There are two ways you can help us here. One is by simply using our beta. It's already available in your sandbox environment. Experiment with it in your current or next project. Let us know if you want to collaborate more deeply. We can give demos. We can sit in on sessions where you configure these things for projects. But whatever you do, send us your feedback either directly to me, which is laurens@findock.com, or to our support@findock.com email address, where we will make sure it ends up in the right place. Now, one other place you can help us is by doing a usability test. Usability test is where we ask you to perform a specific task, and then we observe you to see whether our user experience is effective. We like to stress this is not a test of you, but it's a test of what we have done. So if you are not able to do something, it's on us, and we know we have to do something. And the simplest way to participate is to book a slot in our calendar, for which I will post the link in the chat soon. We can also come to you, to your office, but we can definitely do this online. And that's it from my end for the setup. Now, we have a couple of things I'd like to highlight from the rest of the release, basically, because there's a lot going on. One new thing is that we have added a new format of courses to our FinDock Academy, which is micro-learning. A micro-learning course is where we take one specific feature and have a short but detailed course for it on top of the main course line. Often these are things that are not used for all projects. In this case, we've added a course for configuring Salesforce with the Nonprofit Success Pack. You can sign up to the Academy for free and do all your courses there. From the small wins, I'd like to highlight one thing. We've ended support for dependent state and country pick lists. It was already possible to use state and country from giving pages when you use the string versions in Salesforce. But if you enable the pick list versions, the dependent pick list versions in Salesforce, which is especially relevant for countries like the US, where the state is very important in the address, this is now also out of the box supported. For Buckaroo, we've added recurring credit card. This is not a new payment method since we already supported one-time credit cards, but now also recurring is supported. For all the other features, please visit our release notes, and you can read all about them there. If you have any questions about them, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're always happy to explain things in more detail. Thank you. That was our content for today. Me and Stefan will stick around for your questions. But if you don't have any, thank you and see you next time.